Hello everyone. Welcome to the Texas Outlaw Running Talk Show. This is episode 24, and we're being joined by a special guest. Her name is Pamela Chapman-Markle. She's from Texas. She's a 66-year-old world-class ultramarathon runner, a cancer survivor, a nurse, an inspirational speaker, and she's finished the hardest race in the world called Badwater 5 times. And she's the winner of the 2019 Badwater Cup. And also on the show, she mentioned that she had a world record in running as well. And so she's done a lot of really amazing things. And I'm super excited for y'all to be able to hear and tune in to everything that we got to talk about. There's a lot of value in it. Before we hop into that, though, we do have a Patreon. If you guys want to support the show, it's $2 or $3 a month. It all goes towards the podcast. And to get to the Patreon, you just click the link below. So if you're listening on podcasts, YouTube, whatever you're listening on, in the description, there's a link to the Patreon. You can click that, and if you become a member, what we'll do is we'll give you a handwritten note. I'll write you one, and then we'll also send you a sticker, a Texas Outlaw Running Company sticker. And so with that, we also do really appreciate the ratings. So if you guys want to leave a review on the Texas Outlaw Running Talk Show, whether you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, you guys can do that. And what that does is by leaving a good review, it gets this out to people that maybe want to hear it or need to hear it, and it gets it on their radar. And so if you guys really enjoy the show, I would really appreciate it if you guys left a rating. That's enough of that. Here's the show. I mean, you finished Badwater, what is it, 4 or 5 times now?
5 times.
5 times,
Yeah.
and you have so many other accomplishments. How'd you get to where you are now?
Actually, I've got to give credit to my husband for that. He is a numbers guy, and he told me early on that I was faster than most people my age. So I started competing in USA and world record events and found out that I was. So that's pretty much where I'm at here. But the Badwater was always my goal to run. You know, I did Brazil in 2016 in hopes that I'd get into Badwater because I never had crewed it before. And I got in. And when I did get in, I broke the course record
Wow.
of 60 and over and
Wow.
kept breaking it every year that I went, my own record. So I was very happy. It's a sort of like it's a road run, which I love road runs, but it's also mountains because you're going up 6 to 10% grade, climbing Mount Whitney and Panamint Valley. You're just climbing a lot. So I really like that. It's quite a challenge, and it's hot. It's so hot that I train in the heat. Living in Texas, you know all about the heat, but I love the heat. So to me, it's a really good race for me. It's the most challenging. It's very dry. And I think that getting me to where I'm at right now has been my husband's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the draw? What draws you to Badwater? You obviously it has a deep place in your heart, a special place. What's the draw to it?
It has a huge place in my heart. It's very, very difficult race in all levels. You're always going to get sick. You're never going to cool down. It's almost combining 10 years of problems in your life into one race, and it's there. And the people are amazing that race it, even if they can't speak English. They seem to get to know you everywhere. And I just literally, Chris Kosman calls it the Badwater family, and that's really true. It is the Badwater family. You'll find the most positive people you have met on earth at Badwater.
Yeah, it's an extremely difficult race, and it's known as one of the hardest races in the world. And so, I mean, it's very prestigious, and it's a very difficult and painful race. And so, what gets you through that pain and through that heat? What's the drive there? What pushes you?
Well, this year's been difficult for me. I fractured my femoral head last year in 2021.
Yeah.
And so I was out of racing for a good 10 months. Still hadn't been cleared. I also slipped 2 discs in my back.
Wow.
So yeah, it's doctors would tell me you need surgery, and I refused to get surgery. I did have my own stem cells injected there, which did eventually heal. But I've done 6 races since December, and I still was told you can't be racing yet. So I'm still walking with a limp. I still don't have the speed back, but it's coming. So I just wanted to get back into running again, and the pain for me is like 4 times the amount that it ever was without the fracture.
Yeah.
And what gets me into it, I think of things that don't hurt. My entire run is a gratitude run. I pray a lot while I'm running.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for my crew. This is the biggest crew, and they have to go all out just giving to me. And it's enough to make you cry, literally, to see how they stay up at night, feeding me and watering me and spraying me down. And they're without them, I would not have made it. So it's just an act of love everywhere. And so that's what gets me. If people can, your age, go back to feeling that that's the most important thing is love, and caring for other people, then the world would be a better place anyway. So that's what gets me
Absolutely.
through all of the pain. I just don't think about it. I just don't think about it. I don't let it get in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't mind, real quick, before we get into the actual race itself, Badwater, I want to know, what's your running story? What does that look like? And how did you even get into running?
Um, I've always been I got an extreme diagnosis when I was 19 of cancer.
Yeah.
And I was running short periods of time then, and I was a vegetarian, which probably saved my life. My mom took a drug while she was pregnant with me that gave me a real bad diagnosis. So I prayed very hard and decided to allow God to heal me. And it wasn't not just that healed me, but I wanted to be in the 3% that didn't die. And that's exactly what
Wow.
happened. So I made a commitment, a discipline that I would stay in shape and literally put his word out. Now, I didn't
Amazing.
know I was running then,
Yeah.
but I did do high impact aerobics, things like that. I rode a bike all the time. I watched what I ate. So I've always been the same size, no matter how old I am. And so then I raised 3 girls pretty much all on my own. I was divorced for like 20 years.
Wow.
So yeah, a long time. So it was just the highlight of my life. I was able to have kids and live when I was told I'd never have kids and die. So to me, God was pushing my path somewhere towards Him. So I have always been extremely grateful. I have 3 wonderful daughters and 8 wonderful grandchildren. I have 3 wonderful son-in-laws. I couldn't be more blessed, and that is the truth. So I started to make it, my kids were getting, I put them through college, and my kids were getting away from home and not coming back. And so I started making like bucket lists of things that I wanted to do, because I do anesthesia, and most women my age are totally, they get that empty nest syndrome, and they're totally depressed. Their life's over, their kids are gone, you've done your duty. But that's not how I work. So I just wanted to learn things I wasn't able to take the time to learn. So when I was 54, I learned how to surf. So I went all over the world surfing, because I can do that myself. I got my captain's license sailing, so I started sailing
Wow.
boats. And so then I was doing anesthesia for a physician who was 10 years older, and he goes, Pam, you need to run a marathon. I said, I don't want to run a marathon. They're too crowded. I don't like marathons. So he said, okay, well, do an ultra. I do ultras. I said, what is an ultra? What's an ultra marathon? He said, it's anything over your 26.2 miles. And I said, I still don't like running in crowds. He said, Pam, nobody runs these. Well, so I signed up for my very first ultra in a year later, which I was 55 years old, at Rocky Raccoon, which is a trail race. Horrible race. And it was in January. It was like 15 degrees outside, coldest day. They shut the schools down. I ran the race, literally had no idea how to train for it. And I did finish it. And so I couldn't run for 4 months after that. I had a fractured tibia, from all the roots catching my feet. So decided I would do one more ultra, one more, just so I could do it to enjoy it on a road, because I like to run on a road and I would train better. So I signed up for the Keys 100 the following year. And that's how it got started. And once I got into a heated race on a road, whether it was raining or not raining, I just had a ball. So I finished that race 4 hours better than I did Rocky Raccoon. And my husband, actually, that was the first race that he crewed me on. And so we've been back to the Keys 100 7 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your testimony. It's amazing that God healed you like that. And I just think, those stories need to be put out there a lot more, because that happens a lot more than we think. And there are a lot of scenarios to where people are on their deathbeds and God heals them. And so I really do appreciate you sharing that testimony there for, the listeners to hear.
You're so right. You're so right. And people are too afraid to say, I believe in God. I mean, he's my first prayer in the morning and my last prayer at night. And I do meditate. I'm just extremely grateful. And running helps me listen to him, listen to what he wants me to do. And people go, oh, well, yeah, God talks to you. I get ridiculed a lot for that. But to me, it's like, I'm 66, I'm alive, I'm kicking, and God just directs me. And I just got another, literally, course record here at Badwater.
Wow.
And I decided to allow God to help heal me, and it's still going. And I ran it and I didn't re-injure myself. So it's like, people need to have more beliefs. You're absolutely right, especially when it comes to your own health and everybody else's health, because doctors are human, and they can't do it all. They can't. So I'll tell you who can. So it's the point to where I'm just extremely open about my faith, and I think that people just need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm there with you. I agree. I think people should definitely be more open with their thoughts and their opinions. Obviously not forcing it on anybody, but at least sharing it and putting it out there, so that way people can hear it and learn from those conversations. That's how, our life works. And
You're
so
right.
I appreciate you
Right.
so much for sharing that. I mean, there's even a time to where I was injured in college, and I had a running injury, and I prayed for the Lord to heal me. It was a knee injury, and the next day I was back running, and it was fine. And it was an injury I was struggling with for months.
Oh,
And
I'm sure.
so, like, especially in running, like it happens. And so it's amazing. And there are, believe it or not, I mean, within the running community, there are a lot of people who believe in God within the running community. And so it's just an awesome thing, and there ain't nothing wrong with it either, because I mean, there's a lot of good, um, people who truly believe in God. They're really good people.
Oh,
'Cause
I agree.
they fear God, they love God, and they want to serve Him and do Him pleasure. So that means, when they're behind locked doors, they're gonna do the right thing.
You're right.
You're evidence of that, and look at all the blessings, God's done in your life and your stories. You're evidence of that, and so. That's just awesome to hear. So, could you tell me? I remember reading briefly on your website. You talked about how a lot about how your faith and running have a lot in common. Could you share that with us about how those two collide?
Well, people always, the one opinion that people always have of me is that I run my own race and I'm in my own world. And that is true because I'm in God's world.
Yeah.
And literally, that is how they come hand in hand. I get my running shoes on, go out, and maybe 10 minutes into the run, I feel him, you know. So if you want to feel God, all you have to do is quiet yourself, and running does that to me.
Yeah.
So quiet yourself and feel him, and he will give you the best conversations in the world. So that's, I can't quit running. It's just like you said, he's the one that leads me in a good life, and I think I have been blessed because he has allowed me to prove my faith, and everyone has to come at a point to do that. So I thank God no matter what. When I'm posting online for a race, I thank God. So he's part of my crew all the time.
Yep. Yeah. And would you say that God might be the reason for you to just get out the door every day and go run?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course it is. It's like discipline with my daily prayer. So I am out the door, have any desire to not go. I have made a commitment and I will continue with that commitment until I am told that I'm gone and I get to join him in heaven. What a great thing. People say to me, "Oh, Pam, I'm scared for you. You're doing such crazy running. You don't really have to do that." And I'm like, but what a way to go.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of my prayer. What a way to go.
There's this guy, his name's I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Chad Wright. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's an ultra marathon runner in Georgia, and he's a very firm Christian and very firm in his faith. And he recently released this documentary, this Last Man Standing race that he ran. And people probably think he's crazy, but he literally said in the documentary, he said, "I can't die," and he's like, "I will run this thing until my body passes out, but I will never die." And for those that are in the faith, we know like there's a life after this, and so it's true. And yes, this life matters, and the things we do matter, but at the end of the day, like when this life passes away, it's gonna be about the eternal life after. And so you can continue to do those crazy things because at the end of the day, when you do pass away, your body passes away, you will still be alive. And so I see your perspective on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
It's all about the spirit, you
Yep.
know, which that's how you communicate. It's all about the spirit.
Yeah. Absolutely. And with that, I wanted to go into your training and what you do. So like what is a week or a few months out from a big race? Like what does that look like with your training? Are you running big mileage, low mileage? What does that look like?
Well, this time I ran low mileage because I still had, when I would get it higher, 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 my hip was just screaming. So I went way down on my mileage. Normally, I will run, I'd say 70 to 100 miles a week. But with this, since my hip injury, I kept it 40 to 50. I did a lot of swimming, I did a lot of biking, so my endurance picked up pretty well. But I probably will be happy when I can go out to, and only because I like to do that. I like to run at least 70 miles a week. So, or I'll race every 5 weeks. And that's what I've done here is I've raced every 3 to 5 weeks, those 6 races that I did.
Yeah.
So, I've put at least 100. I did the Florida race, Daytona, which was 100 miles. 3 weeks after that, I did Brazil 135,
Wow.
135 miles. Then 5 weeks after that, I did Cape Fear, Badwater, Cape Fear, which is 51 miles. Then 4 weeks after that, I did Badwater, Salton Sea, and then I went to Badwater. So,
Nice.
oh, and I did the Keys 100 also after Salton Sea. So I was racing about every 5 weeks,
Okay.
and
And
I wanted to just pile the miles on my legs,
yeah,
which helped me a lot.
yeah.
So
So during those weeks when you are running big mileage, are your legs just tired all the time? Are they used to it so they feel, decent? What do your legs feel like during that training?
my legs have been kind of tired, because since the fracture, I had to stop running for like 9 months. So
Yeah.
my legs felt kind of heavy for a while, but they didn't, they that kept getting better and better. So after this race, my feet hurt really bad, but I had like sun blister. It was heat blisters on the bottom of my feet
Yeah.
from the 200 degree on the cement that I was running on, which is very common. So my legs didn't hurt too bad. I'm walking around every day. I get better and better. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's good. The reason I was curious is just because in college, my freshman year, my coach had me at 70 miles a week, and my legs just every week got more tired and more tired and more tired. There's no recovery, and so I was just curious about how your legs held up during the mileage if they got used to it.
I think they do. And I also am weightlifting quite a bit,
Yeah, that
heavy
helps.
lifting.
Yep.
So my legs, it helped a lot because I would weight lift after I went out for my run in the morning. So, and I was running different times, I do like 10 miles in the morning and then maybe 3 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
just a 3 easy run and just to shake it out a little bit. So that helped me a lot. Plus
Yeah.
I do have those compression pants, which helps get the blood and all the lactic acid out. So, and I drink a lot of water. I think that helps a lot too. But your legs will be tired until you start doing it for a year. And
Yeah.
then after that, I think it just kind of gets used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you've been seeing this guy on social media, but he's been running over 100-mile weeks for the past like 120 weeks or something crazy like
Oh,
that.
wow.
And somebody commented on there, do your knees ever hurt? Because for me, my knees hurt a lot if I run on a lot of concrete. And so do your knees do they ever hurt?
Of
Whatever.
course.
Yeah.
The same thing on concrete. So then I just back it down because that's your body telling you, hey, back it down. I don't think that's really healthy. It just doesn't give you enough recovery time. And the older you get, and I'm not saying in your 60s, I'm saying in your 30s and your 40s, you're getting older. So you need to compensate and do different things to strengthen it. If your knees hurt, yeah, and mine did too, then I would back off and not run that much the following
Yeah.
day.
Yep. Yeah, and something that I've noticed helps with knee pain is strengthening the quad muscle. And so if you're in the gym strengthening that, I've learned that helps a lot with knee pain. And
Yeah,
so that
that's
and just running on grass. And
oh for
so
sure.
if you have to go to like a soccer field and run, you know, 600-meter loops around a grass field for 10 miles, like it's still bet you're at least getting your miles in and your knees aren't going to hurt as much. So
Yeah,
you got to do what you got to do.
you sure
Um,
do.
with your heat training, what does that look like? I want to know what your heat training looks like.
Um, I am really good at heat training.
Yeah.
I'll go out and run 2, 3 hours, then I'll come home and sit in my sauna for an hour. And
Wow.
yeah,
What
and
time are
so,
you running?
oh, the hottest it can be. So usually around 2 o'clock,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
And is it humid where you live at in Texas? It is?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm right on the water. I'm like on Galveston Bay. So it's
Wow.
almost 90%,
Yeah.
100% humid.
So what's the heat index out there when you're running? 'Cause it has to be like
You
110.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm in South Arkansas right now actually, and it's like the heat index is like literally 110 degrees because it's so humid over here. It's
It's
like
very
Louisiana.
hard,
Yeah.
but that's good to train in now, that especially if you're gonna go up in the mountains in altitude.
That's what I've been hearing. I actually got an Instagram DM. This guy told me he was running in Texas. He ran a race in Texas with our company, Texas Outlaw Running, and then he went and ran in San Francisco, and he said it was so much easier to run in the mountains out there than in Texas in the heat. And
Yeah,
so,
that's true. Yeah, very
yeah,
true.
yeah, and that's, I mean, that's kind of been, I feel like a little bit of a debate, and I literally just did an episode on this, like it released today actually, and and I got a lot of good feedback, but there are some people that, I don't know, it's a little bit of like a just a tiff, like a little disagreement. They think, you know, altitude's harder than humid heat or whatever, but
Most of the people who train in altitude do not finish in Badwater.
yeah. Yeah, I actually I noticed there were quite a few people in from Texas and just really the southern states that were competing in Badwater and doing pretty decent. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Yep. Yeah, we're used to the heat. We're used to walking out and it just blaring heat on us. So
You're
getting a
right.
blow dryer, really just a blow dryer with add humidity. It's even worse. Humidity's very equivalent to altitude, I feel like. Um, Not just heat in general, but the humid heat.
Right. You're
Yep.
right.
You know that more than anyone else. You're the one running at 2 o'clock on Galveston, down the beach or wherever you're running. So you know what it's like.
Yeah.
And so you run for 2 or 3 hours and then you go sit in a sauna after.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
I'm extremely dehydrated, and that's really good, because that will force your body to live
with
at
less
least for an
water?
hour without water in the heat.
So do you purposefully dehydrate your body?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's something, I don't know, it depends on the person, but I notice a lot of people that do get dehydrated. I don't know if this happens for you, but like especially me, my body, it's my digestive system gets really messed up and I start having stomach problems if I don't drink enough water. Do you have those issues too?
I do. Yep,
Yeah.
I sure do.
So how do
Yeah,
you,
I'll hydrate during the run, but I won't hydrate in the sauna.
okay. So how do you deal with combating those issues, combating the issue of, dehydration and digestive issues? How do you deal with those?
I had horrible digestive issues in Badwater this year from the start. And it was because I was dehydrated. I didn't hydrate enough. Hard to catch up on salt when you're out there running and
Yeah.
sweating. But I do take like peppermint tabs. They're holistic peppermint beadlets is what they are. And I'll take one of those and they last for 24 hours. That really helps my belly. It just calms it down. And I'll try to get as much fluid as possible in. And I try to take salt pills as I'm running, which eventually I calm down, I'm able to eat. But if I don't keep it up, then I'll be right back where I started
Yeah.
again.
So what kind of food are you eating out there when you're out there racing Badwater? What's the food look like?
It's very simple, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches mostly. I do like fruit. Let's see what else. It's hard for me to get anything dry down my throat
Yeah.
because I feel like I've got a sore throat 10 minutes into the run. So I'll be drinking and try to swallow. But I do like the sweet buns and I'll put olives in them. And that really goes down very well. So I can chew that and goes down well. And that works good. My sometimes I'll drink pickle juice. So the main food I eat is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Gotcha. And just for the listeners to know, Pam just got done running Badwater. How many days ago was it?
I finished on Wednesday morning. So it was, what's today?
It's Monday right now.
Monday. Yeah. So not quite a week.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the after effect look like? Like how are you feeling right now? How are your legs feeling?
My hips are more sore than my legs. My legs feel a little tight, but I swam yesterday, so they're starting to feel better. I'm going to do a little yoga tape today,
Yeah.
but my calves are a little tight, and but I feel a whole lot better than I felt yesterday. So it's better
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. Um, so this year you talked about with Badwater, you had different issues that you haven't really had before. What was the most memorable part about this year's Badwater and running it?
As far as my issues go,
No, just as far as the whole entire experience of this year's Badwater, what was the most memorable part?
the most memorable part was how fast I made it up Whitney, the 13 miles. That's straight up 4,000 feet.
Wow. Yeah.
I actually PR'd my time there
Wow.
going up. So who does that?
Yeah. Wow.
Uh, so that was the most memorable part. I was pretty happy about that, and I felt pretty good. So um, the worst memorable part was my downhill in Panama. I'm usually an excellent downhill runner, but it was really hard on my hip. So I kind of ran walk that. So, but normally I can fly down that hill. I was a little disappointed with myself that I couldn't do that.
Yeah. And have you finished Badwater the most times out of anyone else before, or where are you in that standing as far as finishing Badwater?
Um, like every year I've ran it, I've finished it. I'm high on that list because most people will DNF sometime.
Yeah.
And I have finished it every time I've ran it. There are some people who have done 10 bad waters, and some people have done 15. I think
Wow.
Dean Carnass, he was there this year, crewing a girl from Greece. And there's one other guy that's done 15. I can't remember who it is. But as far as women goes, there's not too many women who have done, and I intend to do 10, if not 15. And I intend not to DNF.
Yeah.
So I'm probably 1 out of 10 that have the highest finishes.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard from people that it's hard to get into Badwater. So how were you able to get into a race that's so difficult to get into?
Um, the first time, I think because I had finished the Brazil 135 under 48 hours. I did it in like 42 hours.
Yeah.
And that was one plus. I did the Keys 100, and I think I did that in something like uh, 21 hours, maybe. So that was another race. They can see that I can run in the heat. Um, and I actually have I've ran like 65 races. So most of my races are 100 milers. I did the Tahoe 200, so I've got a lot of race under my belt for 11 years of racing.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the reasons they have chosen me. And when I had to write how to get in this year, my whole key was that I wanted to be the oldest woman to finish the race. So I think that was something that they wanted to give me the chance to do. So
Is that what you ended up doing? Were you the oldest woman to finish the race?
yes, the
Wow.
oldest woman to finish the race, and
Congratulations.
thank you, and the fastest woman 65 and up who's ever finished the race.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
because
phenomenal.
the time used to be 60 hours. So a lot of women in 65 and 66. Oh no, I'm 66. So 65 finished it, but they finished it in 57 hours.
Yeah.
And I finished it in 44. So I did it in a sub 48.
Yeah.
So I won that, and then I won the oldest woman ever to run the race.
Wow.
So
Yeah. Where's you've done so much. What other goals do you have in the future? Like, what are you going after and trying to accomplish um, for the future and what's ahead?
well, I'm supposed to run the Spartathlon in 2 months. I'm not quite sure I'm going to be able to do that because it's got a lot of time cutoffs, and my hip still will not. I don't think it'll take me 50 miles doing doing it in 9 hours, 9.5 hours. I can do that, but not yet. And I'm hoping if I heal really quick, I'll do it. However, I want to do 2 more 100s. I want to go back to break. I have 5 USA records and 1 world record, and I want to go
Wow.
back and get. I'm in a different age category now, so I want to go back and get those records again
What's the world record that you have?
in 48 hours.
Oh, okay.
It was the first.
Could you go into detail of that?
They give you 48 hours to run as many miles as you can, and I think the woman that was I was 65, I believe. Yeah, it was the very first. It was right before I broke my hip, and I probably broke it there. But that was the first race post COVID, so I went ahead and signed up for the 48. It was a road race in a trail in Florida. And I went and I did 177 miles, and the record was 135 or 40. And so I quit 4 hours early. I just had ran out of steam and told my husband, I'm going to come back and get 200 out of this, because the year before I had done 188. So I know in my heart, if I prepared for it well, I could get 200.
Wow. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Yeah, you honestly, you're just blowing me away with, how many great things and feats that you've done. Um, and obviously, like it's all, it's you, but you're giving glory to God for all of it. You know what I mean?
That's
And what part does God have a play and a hand in all of these great accomplishments that you've done?
Oh, he's everything. He's the reason I'm here. He's the
Yeah.
reason I run, and he's the reason that I'm good at it. So um, if he doesn't want me to be good at it, I'm okay with that too, literally.
Yeah.
So, at the end, when you get a little bit cuckoo, you've missed a night's sleep or 2 nights sleep because Badwater starts at night. I always have God in my heart. That's one thing I don't hallucinate with. I always know that he's there pushing me, and I'll get it done. And
Yeah.
that's the whole mantra of it all. God, let's get it done. And he lets me finish so I can be on your podcast to tell people how wonderful he is, and how glorified, blessed, that he will give you blessings, just ask for them. So it
Yep.
never it yeah he's the reason I've done what I've done.
Yep. And I will say, I'll bring some scripture. The Bible, it says God's a good father, and if you ask, you will receive. And it just says to ask, to seek, to knock, and the door will be opened, and you will receive. You just have to ask God for it. And so, of course, God's going to give good gifts to his children, and so, and you're evidence of that. So.
Yeah, that's the only one. God is always the only one, and I want women my age to hear this. God is always the one that doesn't care how old you are, because your spirit is young all the time.
Yeah.
So just keep your faith, and stay off drugs. Just for depression, you don't have to be depressed. Pray more. So that's pretty much my gift to them. Is it's not because I'm some wonderful person. I didn't even know I was a runner.
Yeah.
It was just a great way to pray.
Yeah. After all that you've gone through and all that you've lived through, what what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned? Because you have a lot of wisdom, and we know that wisdom comes from not just knowledge, but actually experiencing and doing, things, just going through tough times or going through hard things. You gain a lot of wisdom. So you have so much wisdom. And so what's some of the best wisdom that you can pour out, not only just for myself, but people listening?
I would say just to don't be afraid to fall. Standing up is okay, and keep going because things change a lot, not only in a race, but in life. So people can't be perfect. Falling is okay. And I think that's my biggest wisdom is I'm not afraid to try. Might not do as well as I thought I would, but I'm still going to try. So I think that if you have a direction and quiet yourself, people get so nervous, and just calm your mind down even for 10 minutes and listen to what God is telling you to do. Things will come to you. So that's huge in what most people in life worry all the time. And I just really want to tell them it's not worth it because you have to give it up. So give it up. Let go, let God. That's my mantra. Let go, let God.
Yep.
And everything will work out. It always does. And it usually works out better.
Yeah. Yep. And I like to give to go off that. I like to give an analogy that, we're all, the Bible talks about this, but we're all vessels. We're all, um, in a way, we're all our own boats, and the flag on the boat that that catches the wind and steers the boat, the sail. I feel like that represents our surrender towards God, that letting go, that saying, okay, fine, God, like you can have it. And the wind represents God, because as soon as you do that, the wind, just as the wind guides a sail and pushes it along, God does that in the same way, for us. And so as vessels, when we open up the sail and surrender to God, and let him take control, things are a lot better. You have a lot more peace. You don't have as much anxiety, and you're not worrying about so many things.
You're right.
And so, and you know that better than a lot of majority of people. So, um, yeah. And I just feel like that's really important, because I know a lot of people that come to running they come from addiction, or mental health problems, or just hard things in their life that have happened, and that's why a lot of people flock to running, is for those reasons. And and if they really want to find that true peace, that true what they're searching for, yes, running does give a lot of that. But if you add running and then you add God to it, that's where you start really seeing,
You're right.
the
That's life. Yeah.
change. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know when we were starting this podcast we'd be preaching out to the
The
guest
world.
here, huh?
Yeah, but it's a good message.
They probably think they're listening to a sermon, listening to us, but
Yeah, right.
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's great to hear that, that that's what you have. Uh, that's the best, wisdom that you have to give to everybody. And for anyone that's, maybe aspires to run Badwater, or they just really love the race, what advice do you have those people that are trying to either get into Badwater, or even trying to train for a hot race or Badwater itself? What advice do you have for that?
I would say do a few 100s well. Try to do them under maybe 25 hours. And then maybe run one of his other races, and try to do the Keys 100. He really likes people to do that race because it's a different hot, but it's still pretty much a hard race to do.
Yep. And this is just a random thought. I was thinking about how hard it is to get into Badwater, but then I was thinking about how much even harder it is to get into the Barkley Marathons. And are you familiar with the Barkley Marathons?
I am.
Is that something that you want to try to get into, or that?
Um, no, there's a race for the ages, which is run by him, and I'll probably do that one.
Okay.
Hopefully, I don't know when it is. Hopefully by next year I'll do that one because I get 66 or 67 hours to complete it, and I think I could probably win that one. But
Yeah.
the other races, I don't really like. Well, I'm not quite sure about the one that you have that that just happened. Harvey Lewis won it. It's the one that you run for 4.5 miles and then you
Yeah,
wait.
it's
Bell
the
goes off.
the
Yes, the
backyard ultra,
backyard.
whatever.
Right. I'm not so sure. I could probably do that. I just don't know how long I would last at that one. And I've not done any backyard races at all.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in the Barkley that you have to use a compass with. I'm too old to to look at a compass to figure out where I'm going. So I don't like that. So no, I'm not too interested in any of those races.
Gotcha. Okay. And have you done a last person standing race before?
No.
You haven't? Are you so are you planning on, or are you interested in doing one of those?
Yeah, I am interested in doing one of those. As soon as
Yeah.
my hip heals up, I think I'll find one just to get into his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It seems like it's a real popular just race style that's popped up really and gotten a lot of attention the past year or 2 years, really. It seems like
Yeah.
that's kind of on everybody's radar, is those last person standing races. And
Yeah. I think it'd be kind of fun. 4.5 miles and you get a break.
yeah, a
A
little break, a few
little
minutes.
break. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and those races are really interesting though, because it's really how far are you willing to push yourself,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
It'd be really interesting, and I feel like with those races at some point that people can't ever fully truly go as far as they can, because a lot of people will set boundaries in their mind, like, oh, I'm just going to try to hit this miles, like this many miles, or I'm going to try to, you know, um, whatever. And they set these goals in their mind. They're like, oh, if I hit 100 miles, I'll stop. And those races are made to literally see how far you can go without stopping. But the thing is if you think about it, the person that finishes last, they never really got to push themselves fully to the limit, because the other person dropped out. Because after the other person drops out, they cut them. And so it'd be really interesting if someone made a race to where even after the last person drops, they let that person keep going if they wanted to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. That
keep
would
pushing
be
it, you know?
interesting. Yeah, you're right. Because the
So
mind does play a big role in that.
yeah. And what's your strategy with mind, with controlling your mind and all those little lies and whispers of trying to get you to quit? What do you do with those?
Oh, I push them out. That's the devil talking to me. I
Yeah.
just push them out and they go away. So yeah, I don't let them stay very long at all.
Yeah.
I honestly feel I can do so much more all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I am excited to see what your future holds, because I know that you've done a lot, but you have a lot more ahead of you and a lot more potential. And so I'm excited to see, because after these shows, I always, follow the runners on social media, and it's awesome to see, what greater things they go on to do. And so, um, so I'm excited to see, where you go and what you're gonna do. And real quick before we wrap up the show, I ask 3 questions at the end of every show with all my guests, and I have them listed here. And we're gonna go through them, and you can respond however you want to with them. The first one is, if you could only pick one song for runs for the rest of your life, what one song would you choose?
I was born to run by Bruce Springsteen.
Gotcha. Okay. Uh, what is your pre-race day routine? What does it look like the night or the day before a race?
I try to relax as much as I can.
Okay.
I've done the work, and so I relax. I have a very light meal. Um, I hydrate, but I do something that just lets me just totally feel good and calm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way before races. I feel like, people try to amp themselves up too much or think too much about it, but I feel like that puts you at a lot of, a disadvantage. You really just try to relax, stay calm, and just go with the flow. So,
Yeah, for sure.
um, what what's the one thing, the biggest thing that you love about running?
The biggest thing that I love about running is how quiet my mind will get,
Yeah,
and how wonderful and in sync my breathing gets. So it's the biggest thing I love the most is it gets me closer and closer to God.
yeah, yeah. I heard this saying by somebody, but would you say like in a way running's kind of like your church? It's your or in a way maybe even like your worship towards God?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it is.
yeah, yeah. I heard from a runner who says like outside running outside is like their church, and that's how it's the time they spend with the Lord and everything like that. So
Yeah, that's the way I feel.
yeah. Um, and I think yeah, that's all three questions. You hit them up. And then what's the last word that you have for the people listening? And what's the last thing you want them to hear from you on this episode?
The last thing I want them to hear is um, go out and run and love it.
Yeah. 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 At the end of the day, I mean, if you just it's just nice to just, get that run done and have it, just
It
get it
is.
done and get it through. And I don't know about you. Well, you run at 2 o'clock, so I mean, I I prefer running in the morning. I don't like waking up, but I love just getting it done for the day and having the rest of the day. Which 2 o'clock, it's kind of that way. You get it done after your few-hour run in your sauna, and you kind of have the rest of the evening to yourself. So
Yeah.
do and relax and all that. So,
Yeah.
um, I want you real quick, if you can, I want you to talk about a little bit about your at, I forgot what it was called. It was your website. Could you share with us what that is and kind of what you do through that?
My website is UltraPam 100,
Yep.
and I'm going to be blogging on it more frequently now. And I like to just show pictures and little prayers and podcasts of people who have talked with me. And just, I would like if I could inspire just one person, then my whole mission in life is taken, and I feel that, you know being around somebody with me that has my same belief, that there is a bigger person than me. um, and if you truly feel that, then you can do whatever you put your mind to, because your heart is exactly what is the biggest thinker.
Yeah. And do you do I think I saw you did motivational speaking as well.
I have,
Yeah.
yeah.
What does that look like? Where do you do that at? And could you just kind of tell us a little bit more details about that?
I have done it for nursing meetings, and they've invited me to running some races that they do here. I go out and talk for maybe 20 minutes and to get them all going. Uh,
Sweet.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
I love to try to encourage people to do the best they can, and
Yeah.
not to feel too bad if the race didn't go the way you planned it to. Just do the best you can in that moment, and it'll all work out.
Yeah. Have real quick, have you written a book?
I'm in the middle of writing one right now. It's
Okay.
called 100 Miles of Prayer. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And the producer's been on me to get it done. And so I will probably get it done this year.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. I was gonna tell you if you didn't have a book out, you need to get a book out because you have a lot of things to talk about and stuff.
Oh, thank you.
So, anyways, I am super thankful that I was able to have you as a guest on the Texas Outlaw Running Talk Show. And I think this is kind of the only running podcast that's Texas specialty. Like it's just only Texas people, either people that have ran Texas races or people that are from Texas. And so I appreciate that you were able to come on and represent Texas runners, talk about Texas a little bit because we all love Texas.
We
So,
do love Texas.
yep, go
Yep,
Texas, Lone Star State.
that's
So,
right.
yeah, and like I said, you don't ever see really people wearing, Minnesota flags on the back of their shirts. You always see Texas flags everywhere usually. So,
That's right. I wore a pair of Texas pants for my packet pickup. They
oh
took
yeah,
pictures of me and I'm in Texas flag pants.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Texas runners, we love showing off that we're from Texas. Texas socks, Texas hats, Texas shirts. We got them. Texas running shorts. I like them. Texas short running shorts. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, very
Uh,
cool.
so, anyways, thank you so much, though, for coming on, and congratulations on all that you've accomplished, and
Thank
congratulations
you.
to what you're going to accomplish in
Thank
the
you
future.
so much.
All right, that is the end of it. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Texas Outlaw Running Talk Show. We do these shows every month with a very special guest, and they're structured just like this. Every Monday, we got a show called Shoot the Bull, where it's me and somebody else just shooting the bull, talking about whatever. So make sure y'all tune into that as well. And real quick, we do have a Patreon. So if you enjoyed the show and you want to help support it, you guys can donate $2 to $3 a month. It goes all towards funding the show and keeping it up and running. It's all crowdfunded. And so if you guys want to join that list of people that are help supporting the show, link is below. So whatever you're listening to this on, y'all can just click the Patreon link and it'll be able to take y'all to the page to help support. And so if you guys want to do that, it's down below, and we'll send you guys a sticker and a handwritten note if you guys do that. So, and thank y'all again for watching, and I'll see y'all next month for the next episode. And this was a really good one. And let us know what y'all think. We have Facebook and Instagram, so message us or make a post and tell us what your thoughts are on the show. And so we would really appreciate that feedback. We'll read and watch everything that everyone has to say. So that's enough of that, guys. So y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's day, night, whatever y'all are doing, whenever y'all listen to this, and y'all have a good one.